Yeah, okay. Let's hope this works. Fingers crossed. All right. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Well, we will try. Okay, so today, welcome to August, by the way. Here we are in August already. The Valley of the Judgment, third degree, lesson 16. All right, let us do a quick invocation and we will get right in. Okay, we'll try it again. I keep getting. Okay, how many times? Let's just forget the invocation and go right to this and see if we can get to some Book of Life. Valley of the Judgment, third degree, lesson 16. Humankind's moral universe. Pervading the universe of solids, liquids, gases, and ethers is a moral universe relating to our inner harmony and inharmony, good and evil. And according to the way we mold our inner moral universe, so do we write the record of our rewards and consequences. The physical eyes of earth cannot always read the true inner record, just as the outer coverings of a book does not always reveal the quality or the sordidness within. You may build a questionable reputation among human beings, yet actually possess a sterling character, for being is more than doing. The Master Jesus deliberately acquired a questionable reputation by associating with publicans and sinners, but his inner character was lighted with divinity. Thus, you as an individual. Thus, you.
I am so sorry. We are still trying to get him in.
I'm here.
There he is. Yay. Thank you, Dean. I saw you giving us good energy. I'm going to switch it over to Anthony.
You.
I'm just putting up an etheric antenna in hopes that it would draw in more energy to his phone. Hope you're sitting near a window.
No, I'm not actually, but it is, but there's a wall right in between me. We'll see.
Okay. 35 years in electronics, if there are things I could say that some of you people would believe them, the rest of the world won't. But.
All right, well, we'll try to pick up on the Valley of Judgment here. The third paragraph down. This is recording, right? Yes, okay. Thus, you as an individual, knowing your inner life better than anyone else, are best qualified to judge not what you do, but what you are. It is in your own personal conscience that the judge sits on the judgment seat. The deeds of a soul may be imitated, but what the soul becomes within cannot. Virtues may be copied in outer manifestations, but virtues of the life within must be developed. Free will, human beings' unique gift. Humans are the only one of God's creatures who possess a moral universe. We have been given the right of choice. Coupled with this blessing, we must also assume the responsibility which always accompanies freedom of choice. The soul has also been given the quality of judging itself, and that judgment never fails to speak through the conscience. One can outwardly imitate a saint, but in one's own heart and speaking through one's conscience, there is the voice of truth reminding that person that he or she is only a fraud. It is this judge, pulling, pressing, and urging from within, that forces the pilgrim now, following Sidpa Bardo, into a time of self-searching and self-realization. A computer may be so refined as to actually seem to be making decisions, but the true process of intelligent reasoning and decision-making belongs only to human beings, and we are not machines. The machine is not capable of love nor hate, good nor evil. It can only compile answers based upon what a thinker has fed into its system. It can never originate a thought or an emotion. Therefore, the machine is not subject to moral right or wrong, reward or punishment. The higher we climb in our moral universe, the more does the judge within flood our beings with the exquisite joy of attainment. The moral universe pertains to the mental and spiritual nature and not to the body. The hand does not steal. The inner consciousness directs its movement. Whether it is to be outstretched in blessing or to pull the trigger of a gun, the hand is not held karmically responsible. It is only an implement for the conscious intelligence. While the soul is inhabiting the body, it is the soul that functions through and sits in judgment upon its own activities. The body is constituted only of physical elements and, like a machine, can know nothing of moral or immoral acts. The soul that manipulates the body during a lifetime on earth remains the same after the body has dropped away at death. The soul, author of Akashic records. Although the astral body does retain many of the causes begun by the soul during an earth incarnation, nevertheless, the naked soul bears the effect of these causes. It is the soul itself that is its own judge at the awesome judgment day when, held spellbound before a cosmic mirror, it is to read again the record of its past life on earth, and it is the soul which will bear the burden of remorse and shame. It is then that the soul sees truly who and what he or she is. It is the inner moral universe that forms the inner character. The character is built upon innumerable minor acts and events in our lives. Though remembrances of such events may have ceased to echo in the memory chambers of our conscious minds, still their results live on in our innate characters. The weaver gives little thought to the individual threads of the tapestry. It is the interwoven colors, the symmetry and glory of the overall product that one struggles for and seeks to attain. And it is the finished tapestry of a whole lifetime that we must face at the time of the judgment. We will not stand quaking before some frowning, mighty monarch of the heavens, but we shall face ourselves as we really are and read our own character as we have truly built it, according to the glory of our vestures. So shall we be rewarded. If we have forged a tarnished armor, we shall know full well that the blame lies squarely on ourselves. If we have put on the armor of light, then the heights and highlands of light will be compensation and reward enough. The renowned seer of the 1700s, Emanuel Swedenborg, wrote the following concerning the judgment. Man is the cause of his own evil, and the Lord is in no way the cause of it. Evil in man is hell in him, for it is the same whether you say evil or hell. And since man is the cause of his own evil, he is led into hell, not by the Lord, but by himself. Man has the same will and love after death as before. He who wills and loves evil in the world wills and loves the same evil in the other life. When man enters the other life, he is received first by angels who perform for him all good offices and talk with him about the Lord, heaven, and the angelic life. But if the man, now a spirit, be one who in heart denied and despised these things in the world, after some conversation, he desires to get away from the angels. As soon as the angels perceive this, they leave him. He at length unites himself with those who are in the same evil as his own. When this takes place, he turns himself away from the Lord and towards the hell to which he had been joined in the world. The Lord first draws every spirit to himself by means of angels and by means of influx from heaven. Erlin asks, the clear light? But those spirits that are in evil completely resist and are drawn by their own evil, thus to hell as if by a rope. Punishment of evil is not from the Lord, but from the evil itself. Evil is so joined with its own punishment, the two cannot be separated. This may be partly illustrated by evils and their punishments in the world, where the two are also joined. For laws in the world prescribe a penalty for every evil. Therefore, he that rushes into evil rushes also into the penalties of evil. The only difference is that in the world the evil may be concealed, but in the other life it cannot be concealed. It is assumed that no Astarian will ever again experience the judgment at death, for no light seeker ever sinks this low. Those who bring the judgment upon themselves are the ones who sought no light whatever while on earth, who turned from the divine being and spirituality, and spent their days in frivolity and self-indulgence, with no thought of whether they were harming themselves or others or not. Therefore, in these teachings, we consider the judgment only because Astarians should have knowledge of it, the better to help others who may inherit such an experience. According to the Tibetans, however, for clarity, let us again speak to you as the pilgrim undergoing the third phase of the Bardo, the judgment. Just as sleep overcomes us here, so does the hypnotic state required for a self-analytical judgment overtake the consciousness over there. For those who fail to attain any measure of salvation during the first phases of the Bardo, which we have described in past lessons, the karmic principles become active, bringing memories of past sins. These memories, assuming aspects of frightening shapes and sounds, usually so confound the pilgrim that you are often unable to recognize the form representing the clear light, which always rises in the midst of the negative karmic thought forms. According to the Tibetans' account of the judgment, two genies will now appear, one good genie, the other evil. They teach that both were born simultaneously with you, and actually are extensions of attributes existing in yourself at birth, plus those developed since your birth. According to the Tibetan drama, the good genie will now begin to count out your good deeds with white pebbles, and the evil genie gathers black pebbles to symbolize the evil deeds. The evil genie of the Tibetan Buddhist may appear to the fundamentalist Christian to be the old devil himself, horns, forked tail, and all, testifying against you. Since the pilgrim seems actually to be part of the fantasy drama, fearing further punishment, you may attempt a defense by saying, I have not committed evil deeds. Then the judge, the Lord of Death, will say, I shall consult the mirror of karma. The karmic mirror rises before you. The pilgrim, reflecting vividly every good deed and every evil act, still offering a defense, the pilgrim may say, owing to such and such a circumstance, I had to do so and so. The good genie may even rise to your defense, saying you were justified because of such and such a purpose. But the evil genie may reply that you were guided by such and such a motive, and regardless of the circumstances, your deeds warrant punishment. So proceeds the Buddhist judgment scene until every act of your life has unfolded before your vision, with either your white deeds or your black deeds dominating the ultimate decision of your fate, heaven or purgatory. Nor are the Tibetans wrong. In this incomparable state, memories seem to come unaccountably vivid and alive. In the panoramic review of the pilgrim's earthly life, the negative thoughts, which were entertained with any degree of force, become thought forms, monstrous and awesome. Not only do the scenes of your acts rise before you, but also the motives which prompted them. Shadowy shapes may lunge, gigantic forms may clutch at the pilgrim, seemingly bent upon destruction. Winds may howl, mountainous waves lift you up and send you crashing into their inner depths. Seeing the flashing lights and hearing the awesome sounds rolling like 1,000 thunders, many pilgrims, being unfamiliar with the Bardo teachings, flee in confusion. But since the pilgrim is the author of such actions and thoughts, and now return as part of yourself, and you cannot escape them, it should never be forgotten that the fearlessness of this after-death Bardo experience is the result of your own actions and thoughts during your past incarnation. You are simply reading your own book of memory, sometimes called the Book of Judgment, in which only you have written. This is your true time of judgment. And remember, the only judge judging you is your own record of Earth's activities. If you had cultivated any measure of spiritual discernment on Earth, you would, by some inner instinct, recognize the occasional uprising of a Redeemer. Instead, you flee, just as you fled from the light on Earth. In other words, you will be able to perceive only that degree of the light which you developed while in the body. So confused are you that you fail to observe the dawning of other lights and forms representing opportunities for your liberation. The busier you become trying to escape, the less likely you are to see and recognize these subtle spiritual forms. But even in your darkness, the Heavenly Father and Mother still gives you chances for salvation. There does persistently arise the form of a Savior who, if you recognized it, could end your difficulties. But usually, having died in complete ignorance of these death rituals and opportunities, you flee this form as you do all others. The important thing to remember is that these forms and figures are not real. There is no actual courtroom, no judge, no genie. These scenes are occurring only in the subjective consciousness. Not yet awakened in your spiritual form, the pilgrim views them as though upon a journey along many highways and byways of your mind. In this lies the secret of understanding the Bardo. Remember my description of the people and scenes I viewed as a little girl? Remember I said I seemed to be personally involved in the dramas? How I described fleeing from a cow, even though I myself lie safe and warm in my bed. This is what is happening in the Bardo dramas. The pilgrim is actually in a state of hypnotic repose, viewing the storms, hearing the thunders, fleeing the figures only in your mind. Even among some ministers, priests, and teachers who extol with brilliant lectures, sermons, classes, and discourses, there is ignorance and misunderstanding concerning the judgment. They cleverly expound dogma and creed, yet when death overtakes them, not being acquainted with the mystic doctrine of the Bardo, they are open to undesirable experiences. Suddenly, seeing visions they have never seen before, they view the dawning images with fear, awe, contempt, arrogance, or even antagonism, too self-righteous to admit remorse, or self-blame for having been the instrument of false teaching. Thus, missing their opportunity to merge with the clear light, which would carry them to higher planes, they pass into temporary, miserable states of the mid-astral. For all, it requires familiarity with the mystic doctrine to be able to completely comprehend the judgment. Thus, there is value in the Astarian becoming familiar with the Bardo doctrine while living. Having meditated upon some master, savior, or spiritual teacher while in the physical world, when the image of that one dawns during the Bardo, the Astarian will immediately recognize and have no fear of this being, will trust it completely, and, merging into the symbolic light, will attain release from the Bardo and ascend into the higher realms. The Astarian will remember that even the apparitional appearances of the judgment are unreal and powerless, that the forms are but karmic personifications of one's own thoughts and actions during life. If there is some portion of the lower Bardo experience for you, your awareness of the unreality of the passing panorama will enable you to pass quickly out of it. 6 worlds. Eventually, the Bardo Valley of the judgment comes to an end, the thought forms having exhausted their karmic driving force. As the after-death transitional state ends, the pilgrim, emerging from the Bardo, enters full consciousness on the inner planes and, according to your Bardo reactions, proceeds to the realm where you find your future home. As the Bardo ends, 6 potential doorways are presented to you, the pilgrim. Each leads to different planes of life. These 6 worlds are: 1, the causal world, the abode of saints, seers, master teachers, prophets, avatars, mystics, the immortals. 2, the Titan world, the mental plane, the abode of philosophers and heroes enlightened beyond the normal human, possessing unusual spiritual and psychic power. 3, the astral world, the other world which interpenetrates our material sphere where every person, the average human, usually gravitates. 4. Purgatory, the temporary abode of souls in need of purification, souls temporarily enslaved by lower desires and qualities, bad habits formed during earth life. Number 5, hell, the temporary abode of the evil, the murderer, cheater, thief. Number 6, the human world, a return to earth in a new physical form. Let us consider the last first, with you again as the pilgrim. It is during the latter part of the judgment that in the earthbound there arises a strong desire to again possess a body. And if you allow such a desire to control you, you could find yourself sinking into the trance state which precedes rebirth. If you give way to such desires and actually enter a personality image which shines above mating couples on earth, you will have forfeited your time on the higher spiritual planes and will return almost immediately in human rebirth, in a matter of days or weeks following death. Such desires arise only in those souls who deliberately involve themselves in the lower impulses of earth life, without seeking positive change or growth. During the closing phase of the judgment, desires and temptations rise so powerfully that the earthbound soul may be sorely tempted to deliberately seek another body in order to return immediately to old habits. Your entire karmic aura will draw you quickly again to earth, and you will offer no resistance, even though you subconsciously realize that you face an incarnation of hell on earth. You will inherit an existence filled with pain, frustration, disappointment, for you will find yourself surrounded by the same conditions you inflicted on others. Whatever you inherit, the conditions represent your karma, and this is the best method by which your soul will learn its lessons. Therefore, these souls who are so self-absorbed and filled with suffering, because they are not yet qualified to serve others well, find suffering to be the only method through which they may evolve, purifying their souls of the stains they themselves created. Such a one will be born into the very worst environment Earth has to offer for progression, where you will have earned no greater opportunity. Here, during another incarnation, you will reap your rewards, but in so doing, your experience will further influence the subconscious with lessons to be learned, and each incarnation summed up at its end can only point to some measure of progress. For there is not a human life ever lived that does not realize some good. Although a few renounce the afterlife completely and seek rebirth in a brief period following physical death, the majority of these struggling souls endure their time of purging on the planes of purgatory, ascending gradually through the astral planes into the mental plane, where they will experience their brief rewards in heaven before they descend again some years in the future for another life on earth. Many whose destiny is darkness and punishment will avoid immediate human rebirth. They will descend to a purgatory filled with the sordidness of their own creation. Unless you have been able to grasp some measure of redemption during the Bardo, you must experience for a certain period some of the hell you have created for others. No suffering is eternal, and eventually comes the time when you turn your consciousness upward to ask for help. When you make the gesture of admitting that you are the victim of your own actions, you are now ready to progress upward. For the average person who has attained some measure of enlightenment, an immediate return to rebirth would be unthinkable. The average person, as we have said, will gravitate to the mid or upper astral. Even for this one, there frequently is a time of purging, not for what he or she has done to others, but for some habit which must be overcome. You, the Astarian, who might find yourself in such a predicament after death, should never consider obtaining another physical body in order to fulfill the physical longings. The cigarette you want so badly, remember, the desire will pass. Giving up smoking, even on earth, is for many a kind of hell. So is it too on the astral, only more so. Those who are unable to overcome such habits here must be prepared to suffer there until, little by little, the desire abates and the astral form is purified, just as here on earth the bloodstream is eventually rid of the nicotine poisons. I cannot help feeling the writings received many years ago from one of the other side still hold enlightenment for us today. The writer was a judge while on earth. Letters from a Living Dead Man by Elsa Barker. Since coming here, I have helped hundreds of souls to help themselves through the astral conditions in which they suddenly find themselves. But in no case have I tried to upset the balance between cause and effect by helping a soul to a freedom for which it was not prepared. I have let men suffer when I could have shortened their sufferings. I have let many souls work out in the astral world the slow battle with their lower desires, because I knew that if they were plucked from the tree of pain before they were ripe, they would have to go through it all anyway, and battle harder in another life with those very forces which now, by their suffering, they were severing in the regions where, from the limitation of satisfactions, elementary desires are more easily starved and out than on earth. Whenever I see a soul afflicted by the unjust judgments of others, I seek to set the balance true, as I would have done on earth. But I am not here to upset the law of cause and effect. When I can help, I help. But I am more useful in preventing the setting up of evil causes than I could ever be in deflecting the legitimate course of effects. Although we have referred to the pilgrim as you in the above teachings, remember that you, the Astarian initiate, being familiar with teachings of the Bardo, will merge either with the first or the secondary clear light. Or, failing this high attainment, you recognize the appearance of your savior, master, or spiritual teacher during some early phases of the Bardo. Thus, you will gain liberation from the lower realms and ascend into the heaven worlds, the abode of saints and masters, or the Titan world, that of philosophers and teachers. You will find yourself remolded, refashioned, according to the shaping of your most intense desires while on earth. Having lived a beautiful life, you will now find yourself surrounded by that which is beautiful. Destiny. Buddhism, Hinduism, and Christianity all hold the soul's destiny, or karma, is decided on earth. For humankind, eternity is divided into a series of journeys. Each journey begins when the soul, after many years in the inner worlds, begins to yearn for a return to earth, the desire being generated by karma of past lives. New karma begins only at the time when, the desire for return being fulfilled, the soul is born again in a physical form. Karma becomes active at the point of human birth, remaining so during all the years the soul occupies the physical form. Although the journey does not end with the loss of the physical form, much karma, or destiny, ceases. The remaining journey is completed on the inner planes, the karma being absorbed and filed in the seed atoms according to classification. With the descent for rebirth in flesh, the old journey ends and another journey begins. The soul is reborn with a new name, a new personality, a new opportunity, and a new journey ahead. Regardless of the individual's Bardo experience, many among the millions of earth escape the wheel of rebirth. For those who do not, once the cycle in the inner planes has ended, the soul will again be drawn to the Sankaristic planes of matter. Until each soul has built a substantial causal form, rebirth will be necessary. But is such a destiny so dreadful? It is not meant to be a form of punishment. It is only a punishment when the pilgrim has created conditions which warrant punishment. Rather, it is another opportunity for life to experience on this school of earth, or perhaps on other planets, which are also spiritual schools, meeting the challenge of further spiritual unfoldment. Many Astarians and light seekers, having gained liberation through the clear light or secondary light, will choose of their own volition to return. You may wish to bring your spiritual influence to the earth plane, or you may wish to remain in the life cycle of your family or friendship group who may, of necessity, seek rebirth. You may choose to return as a teacher of the mysteries. It is unquestionable that many Astarians are now embodied through a desire to bring light to earth. Some, already liberated from the wheel of destiny, have chosen to return. Astarians are light bearers wherever they exist. Whether or not you realize it, you are a teacher, a way shower in the midst of darkness, and you will become more so as you progress through higher Astarian degrees, or through the transcendental meditations of Lama Yoga, or through other spiritual studies. The 4 liberations. Actually, there are 4 methods by which each soul may attain salvation or liberation. They are 4 different approaches to the same goal, which is liberation from the necessity to reincarnate. 1 is the natural bardo, the experience of death, the transition from one state of consciousness to another. The death experience comes to everyone. Each has his or her opportunity to merge with the clear light. Many are called, but few are chosen. Indeed, all are called, but few can retain union with the first clear light. Most, unaware of the light's dawning, will miss altogether this once-in-a-life cycle opportunity. 2, initiation in the mystery schools. The ceremony of initiation was, and still is, the deliberate performance of setting the candidate face to face with the clear light. As we have said, the Hierophant in charge of the ceremony was proficient in inducing a state of expanded consciousness in the candidate, and of entering simultaneously a similar awareness. Thus, the initiator was able to guide the candidate through the valley of shadows and into the pure truth of clear light. Entering the ceremony as an aspirant, the candidate emerged as an initiate, having experienced immersion in the clear light, contact with the cosmic mirror of the inner self, and a practical comprehension of life, death, God, and salvation. The only difference between the initiation experience at death and that experience in the ancient schools of the mysteries is that in death, all must pass through it, prepared or not, whereas in the mysteries, the candidates were chosen and carefully prepared through ritual and ceremony to experience the phenomena of a living death, transcendence, purification, the loss of limitations of a low self-personality, and rebirth or reawakening as an enlightened one. 3, illumination through self-realization. You, the seeker, can find your own pathway into the light if you persistently reach for it through yoga, meditation, mantras, devotion to study. Such practices stimulate the bliss center in the brain by nature's method, bringing the desired expanded spiritual consciousness and setting the seeker face to face with the clear light through your own personal efforts before the deathbed experience. Astarians are fully aware that such efforts always bring unseen helpers to guide the aroused psychic energies toward meeting and merging with the light. The psychedelic experience, 4, through herbs or drugs. Admittedly, their use will cause a shift in consciousness, temporarily lifting the veil of Isis and giving the beholder a glimpse of a new dimension. But unless such an experience is coupled with the wisdom of a guiding teacher, it can be a journey into hell rather than a release into light. Drugs were never used in the mystery school initiations. Such hallucinogenic drugs as were available were considered dangerous and unnecessary. Certain non-addictive herbs, such as the soma drink, were occasionally employed, but only if the Hierophant or master of the lodge made the inward journey with the candidate as a guide through the pitfalls of darkness and terror and into the full glory of liberation in the clear light. The difference between non-addictive herbs and drugs is that the herbs are God-made, drugs human-made. God's herbal formulas contain etheric properties not found in the chemist's test tubes, regardless how similar the formulas seem. While the use of herbs and drugs seem to produce the same effect, non-addictive herbs are not of lasting effect, while drugs may be dangerous and lastingly destructive. Anything producing an adverse effect upon body or mind was not then used, nor should it now be used. The rape of the mysteries. When the mystery schools were in flower, the secrets of their rites were truly secret. As well, they should have been. No candidate was offered initiation or access to the secrets until after many tests were passed as proof of worthiness for further study and more precious secrets. But today, the secrets of the mysteries have been seized by an army of pseudo-intellectuals who would never have passed the tests in the temples of old. They, in turn, have opened the way to an even greater army of curiosity-seeking youths who know not the dangers. Unprepared and untested, many youthful feet have sought the way, encountering dread visions, monstrous entities, and ventures into the depths of hell itself, all through the misuse and misunderstanding of mind-altering drugs. The profane can never truly rape and ruin the secrets. It isn't the secrets which are ruined, only many of the profane who tamper with them. Those who experience the bad trip, who react to suicidal tendencies, frequently aroused, as do many unguided drug travelers. They have entered the gallery of the lower Bardo unaware. Many have opened the gates of the darkened realms in the lower and not yet purified subconscious. Some meet face to face with the emerging phantasmagoria. Such confrontations have been shattering and overwhelming. Unprepared, untested, and uninitiated, they do not encounter the true clear light, only the shadow substance of their own confused thought world. They exit shocked beyond recall, filled with a terror that can never diminish. Having experienced a bad trip through a drug, they do not realize that its action upon damaged brain centers may keep repeating. A few days or weeks later, when one is totally unprepared at school, at work, driving a car, swimming, flying a plane, etc., the drug in the bloodstream may again activate, sensitize brain centers, and the frightening visions, the urge to commit suicide, rise unexpectedly again. Many wander in their living Bardo world, unable to close the door of the subconscious again. It was essential that the secrets of the mysteries were guarded from the profane. It was for their own protection. In the mystery temples, non-addictive herbs, not drugs, were occasionally employed as a part of a mind-altering religious ceremony and initiation. But the Hierophant, master guide, also knew how to alter the consciousness of the candidate without herbs, and was able to leave the body simultaneously with the candidate and guide the candidate into a state of expanded awareness through the Bardo experience. Let's again speak of the candidate as you, in trance states. Each step of the Bardo was unfolded and you were given instructions in the mysteries. Eventually, you were able to merge with the clear light. Never was a candidate sent into the inner spaces alone. You were given all the secrets an initiate needed to know on this inner journey. Nor did initiation end when you were restored to full consciousness. Several days following were spent in activating post-hypnotic suggestions and training, recalling knowledge gained in the trance state. When such an initiation was completed, the candidate was indeed worthy to be called an initiate. You were in full possession of the science of liberation, the secret words, signs, and grips you would need to know at the time of your actual physical death. During the remaining years of your life on earth, having tested the ultimate bliss of true liberation, you deemed it the highest privilege to dedicate yourself to attaining complete self-realization. Inner journeys experienced by curious drug users seldom reveal any real secrets. Most have entered, even at best, only a world of changing colors, dimensions, and shapes. Nor will the true secrets ever be profane, for only a true master hierophant can so reveal. He or she would never enter such a soul journey with an untested, unprepared curiosity seeker. The prepared disciple, witnessing visions of glory, emerges as a true initiate, able to command unseen forces both inside and outside oneself. The profane are unfit for such command. Untrained dabblers in the mysteries enter domains even the hierophants do not tread. One may as well lose one's child to play in a warehouse filled with nitroglycerin. Only one trained in the knowledge of the Bardo and its mysteries is qualified to offer mind-altering herbs, never drugs, to one seeking enlightenment in the inner worlds. Even then, the recipient should be long trained in the study of mysticism, life after death, initiation. One should be able to recognize the initiation bardo for what it is and be capable of emerging blessed with newly awakened creative powers. We instead encourage spiritual development through the use of meditation, yoga, spiritual study, and practice done in the quiet of one's own aloneness, as well as in the company of other like-minded seekers. The importance of the bardo ritual. The Egyptian Book of the Dead is among the most sacred of all Egyptian scriptures and writings. The Tibetan bardo thodol, liberation by hearing on the after-death plane, is among the most sacred of all Tibetan scriptures. For the Hindu, the Garuda Purana presents the Shraddha ceremony for the dying, the death moment, the ceremonies to guide the pilgrim on the other side. It is hoped that in time, Astarians will acquire the same reverence for the Astarian Book of the Dead and the place it occupies in the Astarian's consciousness. It is based upon rituals performed by the sages, seers, and saints of the mystery schools of long ago. This ritual, presented in modern dress, breathes with the essence of antiquity, extending as far back as recorded time. It is an echo of the same deathbed rituals performed among the ancient Tibetans, Egyptians, and Hindus. It is of considerable religious and philosophic importance. It is a mystic manual for guiding the soul into the other world, and no more important journey will ever be taken. To repeat, upon its understanding and application may be based the kind of life you will live during an entire cycle of time intervening between death, life on the inner planes, and your future rebirth in the world of matter. The ritual instructs the dying Astarian concerning the bardo, reminding you over and over not to be distracted, guiding you, directing you, and admonishing you to keep your consciousness centered on the light, recalling to you there is nothing to fear. The voice of the reader soothes any rising apprehensions and assures you that, even in death, an Astarian never walks alone. Many Astarians will recognize the dawning of the clear light as the body and consciousness approach the point of separation. Having realized some measure of your own true inner nature while living, you will merge with the light instantly. This is true baptism in the Holy Spirit. This is being reborn through fire, as described by Jesus. This is salvation through divine grace. For such an Astarian, the wheel of rebirth is broken, and death becomes the moment of highest initiation. You will have heard and responded to the secret word, recognized and given the secret sign, exchanged the secret grip, and through it are resurrected out of the shadows and raised by the strong grip of the lion's paw into the light of salvation. You have overcome the earth. Thus, every Astarian should be well schooled in the ritual of the bardo. You should learn it well while living and in health, not waiting until death arrives to seek an understanding. Strive after the good before thou art in danger, before pain masters thee and thy mind loses its keenness. Punarabha Tantra, chapter 1, verse 27. Hearing the words of the ritual aids the pilgrim to perceive the new realities of the expanded consciousness. A guide, the reader, is as necessary for this inner journey as is a mission control center to astronauts. The constant audio and visual contact, guiding, reassuring, instructing, is the scaffolding upon which descends the success of any outer space mission. Intensely and constantly focusing attention upon the activities of the adventurers, speaking words of guidance is as important as the hand of the astronaut upon the control of the spaceship. So it is with the dying pilgrim, your mind as your reader guide. The voice of the reader focuses the mind of the pilgrim upon the goal of the clear light, even with words directing the way. One who is unacquainted with the bardo and the clear light could find difficulty in landing the mental missile on the moon of the clear light. But even if you fail to gain liberation in the first or second phase of the bardo and wander into the third phase or even the judgment, If you are familiar with the mystic doctrine, even then, at whatever level you recognize the liberating light, you will win the great boon of ascension to one of the higher spiritual planes. And later, upon rebirth in the world, you will resume your search into mysticism and truth. Thus, whatever degree of searching you do in this life will go toward a good record for your next one, even if you fail to gain complete liberation in this one. Therefore, the Bardo doctrine is one of the most precious of all Astarian teachings. Certainly, with knowledge of the Bardo and its many opportunities to merge with the light, all Astarians should gain liberation from much karma. Astarians should speak of the Bardo to anyone who is interested and like-minded. The more who become familiar with the opportunities death presents, the more will reach for true salvation at that time. Thus, this life wave of humanity will break through the veil of ignorance concerning death and will move toward the enlightenment awaiting it. Such knowledge, too, points one towards nobler efforts before death, which is actually the principal goal. That is third degree, lesson 16. Before we end, let us, since it is August, go ahead and just relax, place the tip of the tongue on the palate, and we will send out the August blessing to the Supreme One, the great architect of the universe, Heavenly Father, Mother, Holy Master Choa, Buddha Padmasambhava, Circle of Seven, Robert Inner Lin, Master Leia, Lord Katumi, Lord Rama, Lord Zoser, to the Astarian hierarchy, to the Lord Rabbi Yehoshua Bar Miriam, the Lord Christ, Holy Mother Mary, Lord Kuan Yin Buddha, Lord Gautama Buddha, Sanat Kumara, the Ancient of Days, the Solar Logos, the Universal Logos, the Central Spiritual Sun, all the great ones, to our higher souls, our oversouls, to all Astarians and to all on this call, may your thoughtfulness and generosity become a center of expanding light in the world, ever growing and expressing the cosmic powers through which all humankind will further evolve. And may your own life be enlightened by the reflection of that greater light. The affirming meditation in the daily expression of my life. May my attunement with the infinite continuously be strengthened from that unceasing source, and into each of my activities. May there flow the higher powers and guidance that will help lead me to the accomplishment of my goals and the realization of my ideals. Help me to be a receptive center through which divine will and purpose find a ready channel of expression. May the light of my life blend harmoniously with the infinite light, and a better way of life for myself and others thereby be revealed. May all be surrounded by the pure white light, within and without, the pure white light of unconditional love, the pure white light of the Christ. Continue to teach us to travel light, to better gain the heights, to break the bonds that bind. Teach us to give ourselves entirely to thy service, to attune ourselves to thy will. Teach us to lay down the small personal life for the greater cosmic life, and to love with the love of God. Om Tat Sat Om Tat Tivam Asi. Tat Tivam Asi. Tat Tivam Asi. I am one with the great consciousness which is God. I am one with the great consciousness which is God. May these blessings physicalize. Namaste, precious, precious souls. Thank you so much. I apologize for the craziness in the beginning. Thank you all for your patience and for your light and your love, and we'll see you tomorrow for the blessing of the prayer petitions. Namaste. Take good care. Bye-bye.